Good evening. I'm Kelly Wright. Thanks for joining me as we spend the next hour together. I say it every night because I mean it. I hope you're safe and well, taking care of yourself and your family because you matter. Opening observations tonight. Take a look around and see what's happening in our country. And it goes back to the fact that all of us matter and we must be engaged in taking care of our country to make it, as I've often said on this program, better and not bitter. Case in point, look at what's unfolded in Michigan. In Michigan and other states throughout the country, there is growing concern about the security of our nation in regards to the outcome of this upcoming presidential election. In the midst of the coronavirus pandemic and the racial political divide, we are seeing something really ugly take place in our country, and that's the potential for domestic terrorism. And that must be stopped at all costs. And it starts not only at the White House, but in Congress, in state houses, in church houses, in houses of worship, and in our own homes. We've got to initiate a dialogue that is civil, a dialogue that is productive. And when I say productive, I mean producing inspiration and aspiration to unify this country. The soul of America is truly at stake, and we must stand united and never be divided by politics or by race. And those are my opening observations. So getting back to Michigan and what took place there, the FBI thwarted a plot to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer and a plot of a militia group based in Michigan that was actually plotting to storm the state capitol, subdue law enforcement officials throughout the state, and incite a civil war. So following the arrest of those men involved in these terroristic plots, Governor Whitmer discussed the matter in an address to the people of Michigan. She thanked the FBI and law enforcement agencies for their great work in stopping this. She also had remarks for President Trump. Here's what she said.
Just last week, the President of the United States stood before the American people and refused to condemn white supremacists and hate groups like these two Michigan militia groups. Stand back and stand by, he told them. Stand back and stand by. Hate groups heard the President's words not as a rebuke, but as a rallying cry, as a call to action. When our leaders speak, their words matter. They carry weight. When our leaders meet with, encourage, or fraternize with domestic terrorists, they legitimize their actions, and they are complicit. When they stoke and contribute to hate speech, they are complicit.
President Trump responded to the governor's comments like this.
President Trump took to Twitter Thursday blasting Whitmer for doing a terrible job before he denounced any extreme violence.
So here we are, finding ourselves in the midst of a political divide and also the threat of domestic terror on our shores. And the question now is, where do we go from here as we continue to follow the developments in Michigan? So with all of this breaking news right now coming out of Michigan, a lot of people are quite concerned about the security in our nation, especially when it concerns our government leaders like the governor, the current governor of Michigan. Joining me now is the former governor of Michigan, also a former representative of Michigan in Congress and a former ambassador to Canada, Governor Jim Blanchard. Good to see you, sir. This is quite troubling. What are your concerns?
Well, first and foremost, the availability of assault weapons is disgusting. There was an assault weapon ban back when Bill Clinton was president, and it's appeared to begin working effectively. But right now in the Michigan, in the United States Capitol, weapons are banned. In the capitals of Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, weapons are banned. They're not banned in Michigan. They should be. There's no reason. I mean, when I was governor, we would not have allowed people to come in with assault weapons and waving them around the Capitol. So The ease of being able to flash weapons around and try to intimidate politicians, of course, the trends of people viewing the government as the enemy, people in government as the enemy, is on the upswing. So first, I think Lansing, the state capitol needs to ban weapons, number one. Number two, I think we have to dial down the rhetoric. I know, of course, I'm a big Joe Biden supporter, but I want to make it clear. The polls show, a recent Pew Research poll today shows that more than half the American people believe that Joe Biden can help heal the wounds that we have in our society. And there's no confidence that the current president can do that.
And Governor, as you know, the current president, as well as the current governor, Governor Whitmer of Michigan, are now at odds each other once again with rhetoric. And you would think at this particular point in time, there would be some reconciliation on the part of the president reaching out to say, Governor, how can we help you? Instead, he's doubling down, stating that it was his Justice Department that stepped in to thwart this plot, not only against the governor, but against law enforcement officials who operate in the state of Michigan.
Yeah, no, it's not his. It belongs to the American people, and he had nothing to do with it. The problem we have, look, I don't want to sound unnecessarily partisan, because I don't view Donald Trump as a Republican, really. He's not. He's Donald Trump. And, he's an authoritarian leader. He's mad at the world. If you watch him, he's mad at the world, and he looks at people who also are mad at the world. And of course, the government becomes the enemy. He stoked animosity toward Gretchen Whitmer early. In fact, called her that woman from Michigan. And she's trying to save lives, and she's done a doggone good job under difficult circumstances. And so what happens? So these people take over the Capitol, waving assault weapons around. It had nothing to do with the stay-at-home orders. Those people have been told the government is the enemy. The government only worries about people who are different than you. The government's going to take away your guns. So they go into the Capitol brandishing weapons. And then the president turns around and says, those were some good people. They support me. So it's like what he said about Proud Boys. He's enabling these people. He's emboldening these people. Stand back and stand by. Come on. So we all know what that is. And so when you have a leader like that emboldening people to do terrible things, you're going to get it.
We'll be back with more of my conversation with Governor Jim Blanchard, former governor of Michigan, right after this. What can we do to heal the broken soul of America?
Well, I think we have to elect leaders who talk about healing the soul of America, like Joe Biden and others. I think we also have to encourage our leaders to work with the other party or people who disagree with them, and not make compromise a dirty word. Not expect, in today's world, the perfect is the enemy of the good. We need good leaders who will work with each other, have dialogue, respect each other. It would be helpful, frankly, for some of our cable TV shows, which help polarize people, to dial down their rhetoric as well. I think it would be. I come from a time in Congress where, when I introduced a bill, I always tried to find Republican co-sponsors so my bill would have more credibility. I couldn't always do that, but usually I did find somebody, and that really helped. I think that we need to, in our teaching of government and civics, which again is not as active today as it was when you and I were growing up. Mm-hmm. I think we have to talk about the compromises that were made, some of them good, some of them bad, at the founding of our nation. That's how we got the Electoral College, which I don't particularly like right now. But the reality is, we also have to teach how government functions in a democracy. It's not winner take all. Winner take all is mob rule, really, and that's where you have despots. So there's part of it civic education, part of it is electing people who want to work with the other side, part of it is not demonizing your friends when they compromise. I mean, we have a lot of work. I will tell you this, and I know I'm giving I sound like a senator talking long,
Right.
but when the George Floyd tragedy occurred, initially I saw this as really inspirational and really heartwarming that millions of people of all ages and colors and persuasions were marching for justice. It got hijacked by some lunatics and common variety thugs, uh, some who wanted to provoke violence, some who were just mad at the world. And then that got turned into Trump's whole law and order. But the truth is, and in this case, I agree with the late John Lewis, who was a friend of mine. The reaction by the American people, particularly young people, was very, very heartwarming. We need to get back. We need to get back to that because there were some really positive signs there about unity in support of justice.
Governor, you're absolutely right. And your late friend, John Lewis, what do you think he would say about about what's going on today? I mean, the day after Senator Kamala Harris made her historic vice presidential debate appearance, instead of talking about the history and the historic moment of that, we had the president of the United States demonize her, calling her a monster and a communist. And so far, Republicans from the Senate have not come out to tell the president or to state to the public that no, she is a sitting senator here in the United States. She is a vice presidential candidate. She happens to be a woman of color. And regardless of whether she votes liberal or conservative, she is still an American human being who's championed the cause of equal justice under the law.
Well, I was really proud of her. I just felt so good about her performance because it was not easy. She could have been the tough prosecutor, and then some people would have said she was too tough. I just loved, if you were to watch the debate without the sound, poor Vice President Pence looked like a guy who didn't want to be there. And she looked like a woman who's trying to win a beauty contest for smiles. I mean, she was all smiles and confident. I just loved it. I thought she did great. And of course, that's what upsets Trump. First of all, he does not respect strong women. He's made comments like that about Gretchen Whitmer, our governor in Michigan. Oh my God, Nancy Pelosi, oh, nasty woman. He said that about Hillary. He can't stand strong women. I think it's because deep inside he knows he's a weak man. He's weak. He's afraid. Way deep inside, he's insecure. Our son, Jay Blanchard, said something I thought that was really insightful. He said, Dad, you have to understand, the Trump voters aren't supporting him because they think he will do something for them. No, they're supporting him because what he's doing to others. He's trying to put people who are different, certainly race, sex, whatever, who are different. He's trying to put them down. They love watching him do that. And that's why a lot of them support him. Not everybody who supports Trump is in that category. But I thought that was very insightful. And that's what he's trying to do with Kamala. The truth is nobody believes what he said, except his hardcore. They don't believe that. They watch with their own eyes. I mean, it's like, she was great. And I'm not saying that Pence didn't do a decent job under his circumstances, which were pretty difficult. But Kamala, I think, met the test. She met the bar. Is she qualified to be president? Of course.
Governor, I appreciate you. I know you've got a limited amount of time here, but I appreciate you stopping by to talk to us about all of these important factors going on. We are 25 days away from the election. Are you concerned about security of our country on that day, since Vice President Pence nor the President of the United States have stated that they would peacefully transition power, but they're still demonizing voting by mail?
Yeah, I mean, we've had vote by mail. It's called absentee balloting which, by the way, generally was used more by elderly Republicans than anybody. So we've had that forever. I'm encouraged with all the people who've asked for ballots and getting them in early, particularly here in Michigan. I know they are in Virginia. So I'm excited about that. Yeah, the law enforcement people I know in Michigan, because I've spoken with our governor, are all alerted everywhere. I know the mayor of Detroit is working with her. We're going to make sure there's no one standing around these polls trying to intimidate anybody. And I also believe, number one, we will know I think we'll know who the president is within 24 hours after voting closes, probably. But it's also true that no matter what happens, the winner, and I hope it's, of course, and I believe it will be Joe Biden, the winner is going to be sworn in on January 20, period. The president and the vice president currently, they have nothing to say about it. It's going to be the voters and the Electoral College, which will meet in early December. And that's going to go forward, period. And I think the overwhelming majority of Americans will support that. They will support that. That's the American way. And that hopefully will give us the new beginning. I don't view, by the way, Joe Biden as simply a transitional figure. I think he's going to be the president of the new America. He's going to be the founding president of the America of the future. An America, I believe, in which our president and our leaders are going to reach out and try to work with everyone for the common good and try to make sure government is a force for good, a unifying force for everybody. And we're going to need that given these terrible challenges with COVID-19 and the tragic economic impact. So I can't wait to see our new president. And I hope the majority of Americans will go along with that as well.
Governor Jim Blanchard, I appreciate you, sir, and thank you for your service to this nation as a public servant all these many years, helping so many people achieve the American dream and still fighting for that as well. I appreciate you.
Thank you for hearing me out. I appreciate it.
Don't be a stranger. Come on back anytime.
Happy to.
All right. We'll be back with more after this. Welcome back to the program. So as we continue to focus on the developments going on in Michigan, we want to talk now to the mayor of Flint, Michigan, Sheldon Neely. Mayor, thank you for being on the program today. I'm curious, what are your concerns about this plot being thwarted and the fact that there could be other plots throughout the state and other states in this country?
You know, it's very concerning and very alarming that people will rise to a divisive nature that where they would consider kidnapping and also doing other duplicitous things in the state of Michigan. So that's very concerning and very alarming. But as an African-American male in an elected position, you know, we push back against the dominant tendencies of a society, which really spoke to not this community's not loving Black and brown people. And so being in an elected capacity and also looking at the things that they were planning on doing is very alarming and very concerning. And so we must step up and be each other's guard as it relates to these type of issues that's going on in our country.
You know, Mayor, I have a habit of saying on this show quite a bit, we have to learn to be each other's keeper and not our killers. And certainly this plot was thwarted. What are your concerns about moving the nation forward towards unity and not division, which we've seen politically and racially in this country?
Well, we must really focus on where we need to be as a society, and look at the common denominators amongst us all, right? So, we have a classation type of standard in this society, lower class, upper class. And so we need to remove those barriers and then just look at our nation as in total and how we can move it forward for our future. We definitely have to have a level of common denominators and those thinking points. And, our families are important, and we need to really push back against those elements of confusion.
Mayor, we are 25 days out from the presidential election. Are there some security matters that your residents have expressed in wake of what's happened there in Michigan?
Yeah, very much so. I think we're on a heightened alert now. I think I've just made some more provisions in City Hall here in the city of Flint. And my wife is a state legislator and a state representative in the state of Michigan. There was also some other plans that were uncovered about some attacks could be up on the Capitol. And so for my family, we're very concerned about that. And so we're taking all the precautionary measures, not only to protect our campus, but also the residents inside the city of Flint, because when we have a level of civil unrest, we have a lot of emotions that are banging around the element of politics. But we're all American citizens, and we must understand that we're all one united family as American citizens and not in internal enemies of one another.
I want to get to a point that your governor made. She talked about the fact that words matter and that our leaders should watch how they use their words. And she directed that towards the president and other people who have failed to denounce racial divisions and political divisions and supremacist groups. What are your concerns about that? Is she right?
Absolutely. She's 100% right. Words do matter, especially if you sit in a position of leadership. When we sit in a position of leadership, we ought to be looking at words that bring and unite people together around one common vision. I always say the 3 Ps is prayer, plan, and partnership. And with those ingredients, you can get to a solution, a successful solution. Whether a Democrat or Republican wins this election, we are going to still be American citizens, and we are going to have to figure a way out to be able to establish a community where we don't have those levels of disparities in our Black and brown communities, disparities in education communities or economic situations. But we have to succeed, the beyond those divisions that we may have. And so words do matter. Words matter.
Yeah, they do, Mayor. And you've been a lifelong resident of Flint, Michigan. Now you're leading the city. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you how Flint citizens are doing in the wake of the water situation that you went through that caused so much turmoil and heartbreak in the city. How are things going with you?
Well, we're at the intersection of a crisis for sure. We have the nationwide pandemic is hitting us hard, as well as our ongoing water crisis and also the level of civil unrest. But we're doing well. We're doing very well. We're not. We don't have a mindset of victims, but we have the mindset of victors, and that's where we're carrying our ways through this level of trauma. And so, here in the city of Flint, the civil unrest, we have done some magnificent things here. We have named Juneteenth, the oldest African-American holiday in our country, as an official holiday here. We have taken measures prohibiting levels of enforcement by police officers, outlawing chokeholds. We're contemplating banning no-knock search warrants, establishing a task force for citizens task force advisory councils to our police department. So we're not just talking about things here in the city of Flint. We're actually making these things happen and officiating them into law. And so we're hoping to be the lighthouse of hope for the rest of the nation that says a community has been stricken by so many challenges are now making these positive changes with a positive attitude. And so we're doing that, and through the graciousness of God and the faith that we have here, we're moving forward in a fantastic way, and we're going to keep on leading in that way. So we're prayerful, and we're going to continue to be mindful of others, and we're going to lead with our words and our actions here in the city of Flint.
Mayor, I appreciate you. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to come on the program, and delighted to hear what's happening there in Flint, Michigan. I think it's an inspiration for all of us, especially when you talk about the fact that you're a lighthouse of hope for the rest of the nation. Certainly we need that light to shine throughout the darkness. Before I leave you, can you repeat those 3 Ps once more? I think America needs to hear it loudly.
Well, we need to make sure we prayer, plan, and partnership. And so we're going to activate on those things. Everything has to happen with that prayer, that planning, and then have your partners to move us forward. And so we're going to be continuing to do that here. And those are the words that I will leave you with out of this house of leadership.
Come on back anytime, Mayor. This platform is available to you anytime. Mayor Sheldon Neely of Flint, Michigan, and praying for you as well, my friend. God bless.
Thank you. God bless you as well. Thank you.
Welcome back to the program. So we've talked about Michigan and all the things going on there, and how there is concern for our national security as our election is just now 25 days away. But there's also concern for the President of the United States, because he is now stating that he wants to go out and conduct campaign rallies. And we do not yet know, in terms of transparency, just how bad he has been feeling because of the COVID-19 pandemic. But according to him, Dr. Delandra Hancock, he's not feeling bad at all. What say you about this? Because this is very disturbing and confusing to the American people, who do want to see the president recover fully, but at the same time, they don't want to be near him because the White House has become a hot spot for the coronavirus.
Right, and he's become a super spreader.
Yeah,
No,
precisely.
the rule of thumb is once you're diagnosed with COVID, you are to isolate for 14 days, for 2 weeks. And even after that, the best way to know that you are clear to move about the cabin is to have an antigen test that is negative, right? That's how we confirm that your body has cleared the virus and that you are no longer contagious. You can be contagious anywhere between 10 days to 21 days after acquiring COVID-19, with the average being 14. So what he's making a decision about is that he's going to be ready to move about the cabin without confirming that he truly is not contagious and does not put people at risk. But not only that, Mr. Wright, it isn't just him serving as a vector of infection and a super spreader. It's creating a space yet again where a hotspot can be created in terms of rallies and all these collective gatherings. When we know that the rule of thumb is to avoid crowded spaces, to implement social distancing, and to wear a mask. And none of those things happen at any of his events.
I spoke with the Surgeon General yesterday, Jerome Adams, and Dr. Adams went on to say, uh, just what you said: mask up, social distance, wash your hands, do those practical things that are necessary. And
Mhm.
he knows that the virus is real and how it's impacting so many people in America. As you see the numbers of states continue to increase in the number of coronavirus cases,
Mhm.
what is your message to America today? Because only 2 states have shown that the coronavirus is leveling off. Only 2 states out of 50 states in America.
Absolutely. And when we think about other metrics where we look at the percent positivity, right? Our goal based on WHO is that less than 5% of tests be positive. 33 states do not meet that criteria now. 33 states, which is one of the high, particularly right now as we go into the fall, it's one of the highest numbers that we've seen recently over the past 2 months in terms of the number of states who are now having percent positive greater than 5%. So clearly, we still need to make sure that we are practicing those basic public health principles: social distancing, masking up, washing your hands if you can't use hand sanitizer, and making sure that if you to stay at home when you are sick, not to rush the process, allow the body to clear the virus. Otherwise, we will be back where we were in March, especially as the weather gets colder and people start to move more inside. When I did a Facebook Live last night, it was practicing the 4 C's. It's avoiding crowded spaces. It's avoiding close contact with individuals who are outside of number 3, your COVID circle. Now's the time to establish whoever's going to be in your COVID circle, whoever your quarantine bay is going to be, test up, make the connection, and keep your circle tight. You know what I mean? It's those things that need to be implemented, and to decrease this sort of close conversation with people, because we know that as we are coming into close contact with individuals and the risk of aerosolization of COVID, we're putting each other at risk when we go back indoors.
Absolutely. Final question. The Surgeon General was talking about hypertension specifically. He said it's another issue that's out there. It's confronting so many Americans, particularly people of color. some 500,000 deaths could unfold because of hypertension. I know that you're a public health expert, you're a pediatrician. How dire is that? And it's another front that we have to deal with, is it not?
Absolutely. I think it's a combination of chronic diseases. Obesity is actually the leading chronic disease related to COVID-19 severity and death. And 42% of Americans are now classified as obese. Within that, you also deal with chronic diseases like diabetes and hypertension. And to Dr. Adams' point, hypertension is significant specifically for COVID because we know that COVID activates the ACE receptor in the body that facilitates regulation of blood pressure. And for that reason, those individuals who have a history of hypertension, high blood pressure, are at increased risk of complications, specifically elevated high blood pressure in terms of hypertensive crisis and stroke related death as it results from COVID-19. Simply someone who has hypertension, it doesn't mean that they're going to die simply because of the blood pressure, but because of COVID's effect on our blood pressure. That's what facilitates death from COVID in the face of hypertension.
Dr. Laundra, I appreciate you always coming on this program. My good friend and a public health expert as well with the Milken Institute of Public Health at George Washington University, and a good pediatrician with a great bedside manner with the children. Thank you. You're talking to us like we're your children so that we can get it right. And I like how simple you put it: mask up, COVID down. Have a great weekend, Doc. Thanks.
My
We'll be
pleasure.
back with more after this. And welcome back to the program. So with all that's going on in our country right now and in the world as it relates to the COVID-19 pandemic, the threat of terror in our country, and the racial and political divide, it's just refreshing to take a good breath of fresh air and realize that historically, we have achieved much in this country, particularly as it relates to Black history. Now, the gentleman I'm about to introduce to you is very familiar with this because he is part of a really incredible curriculum called Black History 365, giving it every day, every year. His name is Earl Jones. He's a pastor and he's also a retired educator, even served as a school principal. He's there in Texas, where this program is now seeing some vibrancy, sir, because it's in the school district. What can you say about the promising nature of being able to teach Black History 365 days a year?
Well, Kelly, good morning to you, and thank you for having me on. I do appreciate the time to visit with you about such a topic that I think is becoming more and more prevalent as we continue to go through 2020 and move toward 2021. But here in Texas, man, I am so pleased to be a part of this initiative that is going forward here in Dallas and in Texas and other districts as well. But this is an opportunity for us to be able to really touch young people and teachers as a group and educators as a whole to really get an understanding about Black history and some things that has gone on. It gives us an opportunity to kind of be a change agent, be a part of history, because I think young people have been exposed to a lot of different things, but sometimes not the real thing. And this is an opportunity for them to learn about, particularly African-American children, about their history and kind of build some self-esteem and get them going. So great opportunity, great time to be involved with this initiative and this curriculum launch. And I look forward to the things that are to come.
I'm glad you said that because a lot of people to this day still think that Black history is all about slavery. And yet nothing could be, it's certainly not true, because there's the contributions that Blacks have made throughout this country, even during those tough years of slavery, where we contributed to this country, built this country, and will continue to help this country grow. So I just think it's a fascinating program. And I also like the the technological advances that this book has, because it's also something that people can go online and it's very interactive. Tell me about that aspect of it.
Well, you know, we have the entire gamut. BH365 has really cropped itself and developed itself to reach all learners in all aspects. And as educators, we are emphatic to ensure that we want to reach all of our learners in various ways, and students learn in so many different styles. And so this curriculum has laid out the music. There's a strong music piece with this, with Kale, and what he's done with this, with the music pieces. And I know particularly with children of color, music is key in developing and making that transition. And then the virtual tours, there's like over 1,200 QR opportunities to go directly online and be connected with this curriculum and the various sites that have been laid out, whether it be through short video clips, excuse me, whether it be through short video clips or through articles or through short film, visiting museums, virtual tours. It's just phenomenal. So you got that visual learner there, has plenty of things to connect and grab them. And then the curriculum itself is laid out in a way where it has various avenues and various things embedded within the curriculum to keep the student moving forward through the curriculum. The ACE lessons, the vocabulary, the enduring understandings, the questioning, how we assess, how we pull information. And so all of that is so critical as we try and bring students onto our agenda, what the important agenda, and keep their attention and pull them through in various forms. So this curriculum, I think, is second to none. I'm so excited about being a former educator. I really wish that we had access to that when I was back in the field. Being able to build that self-esteem and establishing that foundation and understanding where children are, where they've come from, that just brings them to a different level of learning. And in my own humble opinion, I think that in itself would really help with the gap.
Yeah.
When you're able to build confidence in students and get students to a place where they understand where they've come from, and they understand the significance of their commitment to this country, it takes them to a different level of confidence and they can move forward boldly. And I think cuts that learning gap down because, hey, I'm equally as important in what's going on and what needs to go on in this country.
That's fantastic. I think it's a phenomenal program. And how can people outside of Dallas, outside of Texas, watch this online?
Well, you know, there's opportunities, of course, through our website and the social media pieces that we have. For more information, you know, for this Black 365 curriculum, our website is out there, and that's posted with the curriculum. www.blackhistory.365education.com is a critical place in which people can get to. We also have a Twitter and Instagram accounts and Facebook, of course, and, you know, people connect socially. And so all of those avenues are there. I think a strong part of marketing and communication is also the people we connect to this curriculum. We have a very powerful advisory board that are connecting around the country and around the globe, really, with individuals and making that type of connection as well about what is this all about. Having a direct line to superintendents and principals, I think, is critical and key. And our staff development, professional development department is really going through a very aggressive training module to ensure that this information is going to get out to the right people, and really developing and training the teachers to be able to lay out the curriculum to move it forward.
Well, again, I'm delighted that you have come on to talk about this. We've had the authors of this incredible curriculum on as well, and had KO on. And of course, he's a multiple Grammy Award winning producer and artist. So I just think all hands are on deck to get this kind of education out to the masses. And I appreciate you coming on and sharing with us, Earl Jones, pastor as well as educator. And we certainly need men and women like you to keep, putting this forward to the public, so that we truly understand how rich the history is for Black Americans, and it lifts up all Americans. So thank you for this.
Well, you're very welcome, Kelly. I thank you for what you're doing as well. And the Kelly Wright Show is a powerful source of also connecting. And you bring on a lot of powerful guests to connect the communities and connect the various entities. And so I appreciate that opportunity. I know Dr. Milton and Dr. Freeman are ecstatic about what goes on with the Kelly Wright Show and getting the information out. I think it's something that I think as we go forward, Kelly, you're going to see BH 365 come to the forefront for all school districts. I don't care, not just about inner city school districts, but all school districts are going to buy into this and get into this and understand what this curriculum and this textbook has to offer.
Well, that's great, and thank you for that, for the compliment. And I'm here to be a part of you and everyone else who's trying to lift this country up and move it forward by doing the right thing and doing great things. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things will take us far. Thank you, sir. God bless you.
God bless you. Thank you.
And welcome back to the program. Certainly, as we look at the landscape of what's going on between now and the election, there's a lot to be concerned about. And I want to thank all of the guests for coming in to weigh in on the issues that we face as a nation. My final word is this: as we continue to strive forward to make our country a more perfect union, let us remember to always not spread fear, hate, or violence, or racism, but to be righted, ignited, and united to keep spreading love, freedom, and peace. Have a good weekend, everyone. God bless.
Take a look around. I tell you what I see. I see a world filled with war and poverty. Take a look around. I'll tell you what I see. I see a world filled with pain and misery. Take a look around. I'll tell you what I see. I see a world filled with race and bigotry. Take a look around, I'll tell you what I see. I see a world filled with hate and hostility. So in the streets we cry, 'cause our babies die from all the guns and the violence. And we lift our hands and raise our demands. But the violence is not silence. Oh Lord.